It's episode 4 of
Check.
KAWmedy Krow Podcast. And we have our special guest today. Our guest is Shadi Matar.
Hello, everyone.
We need to have the clap sounds. And then we have Amy in the house.
Hello, Amy.
Amy.
Hi, cheers.
And then myself, Christopher Key Tyler, rocking my pink Solaris hat that I bought last night.
Yeah.
Rocking
Yeah.
our
I'm sure
Solaris
you are
beers,
rocking
too.
Yeah, Solaris beers on tap. What are
all we do.
Which beer are you having?
I
today?
have on the I have the Temecula Wave here. Is that what it's called? The Temecula
Temecula Sunrise.
Temecula
Sunrise.
Sunrise.
That's right.
Yeah, Temecula Sunrise from Solaris Beer and Brewing. It's very good. I'm not even a beer drinker because I lived in San Diego for a few years, and the IPA culture there is like, oh man, you got to get an IPA. We have the most sour ale and stuff.
100.
And I always used to make the same joke. I'm like, IPAs and sour ales and all those beers is just like, who can make the shittiest tasting beer and say that it's like a good beer?
Everyone says they have a better beer.
Exactly. IPAs are just
There's
shitty.
like a bitter beer face level. Like,
yeah.
Like, how are you feeling? But it's bitterness level face, and then you're like, dude, it's just so bitter. I can't even digest it.
I got into IPAs a little smidge later. I didn't like them as much because that's all it was West Coast. West Coast is just like that. How bitter can we make it without, accentuating what the hops, because the variety of hops right now are extensive, and I mean, now people are showcasing what the hop can actually do, which is fantastic. I mean, there's hops that kind of give you like that Sauvignon Blanc, or like pineapple and mango and blueberry. So now I'm I don't want to say like a connoisseur of IPAs, but that's what I look for. I'm like, oh, what's this hop? Oh, I haven't heard of that hop before. What does it taste like? What is it?
See, that's interesting, like how you develop the palate for that, because like my drinking, like how I got into drinking was my cousin, I'm like 4 years younger than most of my cousins, right? So, when I was like 18 or 17, they were in their, 20s and they were able to drink. And so, we'd go over for Thanksgiving or Christmas. And, I just remember the first time they all were drinking beer. And it was like the first time, they're drinking beer at a Thanksgiving or Christmas event. And then I'm not drinking one because I just didn't like the taste of beer. It's like that Seinfeld episode where George is like, I'd much rather drink Pepsi over wine. And like, that was me. I was like, man, I'd much rather have a soda than like any beer or wine. So I get there and they're like, what, you don't drink beer? And I'm like, yeah, I don't like the taste. And so then fast forward a year later, next Christmas, next Thanksgiving, look, guys, I'm cool too. Like, I know I like beer. Like, I'm a Blue Moon guy. I love like Blue Moon and like, a summer shandy or whatever. And then the year later, they're like, oh yeah, we got into like whiskeys now. We're all like really into whiskeys. And like, that's just like the next step. So then like another year later, I'm like, look, guys, I like Johnny Walker. Like, I'm a whiskey guy too. And like, oh no, we're on red wine now. We're wine people now. And I'm like, you know what? I give up. I'm always trying to catch up to you guys to emulate you. And so now I'm just like a whiskey drinker, but I just like Johnny Walker. And that's like, I don't drink that much, to be honest. So anyways, it's interesting because I always make the same joke whenever I drink a beer or like a wine, and people are like, do you taste like the pine cone in this? And
That's true.
Yeah. No, but then I'm just like, it tastes like wine to me. Like, yeah.
Can you taste the Forest Ranger?
I mean,
you tasted him.
I mean, my dad got me into wine and understanding flavors, and then I became a certified beer judge, so I did a lot of beer judging.
Oh, okay.
It's in San Diego and LA. So I don't know. It's like, to me, it's like looking at a colorful painting, but with your palate, if that makes any sense.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, see, I just feel like I haven't developed the palate enough because like I just don't want to be an alcoholic at some point, So
I know it is a crux.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't start drinking beer until Amy and I started dating. It was like 2016 that I actually that time after when I went down and hung out with Chris Jeffries, we went beer tasting.
Yeah.
And that was like my first real, I didn't know anything. And then
You're saying you didn't drink any beer?
Hardly at all.
Okay, well, I mean, you did drink beer. You just
didn't
got
get into
it.
it.
You got
though.
a little
I
more
didn't-
into
I
it
didn't-
because
I didn't taste the. I
you
didn't
had
have
a
I
festival.
didn't even know what a palate was. Like I didn't know, like, oh, what am I looking for?
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was where it started, and then I've learned so much. But until Solaris, I definitely have a Solaris problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's a
king of beers. I mean, truly, everything that they do is so to style. Their sours are not exactly what they're almost like, okay, there's a Flanders that are sour, and then they basically mix like a 2.5 year together to create like this, like, kind of a red, and it's not like sour. Like a kettle sour is like in your face, like, warhead.
Yeah, you make that face.
Yeah, it's the warhead of sours. But Solaris just has like this, I don't give a shit. We're going to put vanilla in our sours, and we're going to put chamomile in it. Like, I love it. They do a fantastic job. I can taste everything. And it is addicting.
Yeah, their seltzers are good too.
Their
I also,
seltzers are freaking amazing.
I'm not even a big seltzer person, but whenever I go to Solaris, I'm like, yeah, you guys have a great watermelon. Yeah,
watermelon's fantastic.
It's all good.
It's all so good.
Yeah, and the staff's super fun. And
Chris
and
has
then,
a pink hat.
Yeah, I never wore a pink hat until Solaris. Like, I'm like, I actually want a pink hat because it says Solaris on it.
See, this is the problem with the liberal media is where are our men? Where our men are wearing pink hats now, Chris?
Where are the men? Pink about me.
You want to go?
Yeah.
You want to go, brother?
Yeah.
Don't take your judge.
It's funny. We were talking about it earlier. It's just like people just approach you and just like want to like start a problem with you for like the most random thing. Like, oh,
man
I don't.
bun.
Yeah.
Skinny jeans,
glasses,
white shoes.
Not really a beard.
You drive a Prius.
Do you just
eat
have
plants.
like a punchable face? Is that what it is? Have you ever like examined? Does he have a punchable face?
I know. You know what it is? You know what I honestly think a lot of it is that people. Chris has always had like a very positive outlook on everything, and people love when they're miserable. They want other people to be miserable. Yeah, they want other people to be miserable with them, and Chris is not like that. And Chris always tries to just be the positive person in the situation, and people don't like it.
Yeah,
they're offended by it. But yet they want to be like it.
Well, you think you're better than me with your happy attitude, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, my dad. I've told this before, but my dad was like, "Yeah, you've always been just a good kid. Like, you were just always good." And I think it's because I used to take you and I'd slam you in the crib, you would bounce, and I just slam you, and you'd be crying, and like, I think I knocked the bat out of you. I'm like, thanks, Dad.
No, you were just a child abuser.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My mom would say the same thing about me. She's like, I never had any issues with you. I'd leave you in the car seat in the car, and you would just sit there. And I'm like, so you left me in like the car, like
my mom would do that too.
She's like, no, I never did that. But I'm saying, your sisters never liked being in the car seat, and you just sat there. So I'm like, I would just stare into space as a kid. Like,
yeah, now when you're in a dry sauna, you have flashbacks of being in a parking lot.
Mom, no. Take me out. That's funny.
Tell our viewers where did we met you at Solaris, and like, you came in on a Monday night, and he's become like a house favorite. Like, and you've won. I think you won a contest at Shamrock. You've hosted at the Shamrock. He runs the green screen. We can't do green screen without Shadi.
Right.
Very fun night. Come out.
Yeah, and it's you might. I don't know if you can see it in the background, but there's a green morph suit hanging right there. Yeah. But it's all thanks to
Chris wears that.
Shadi. Yeah.
He does wear a cup.
Yeah, I wear a cup.
Be warned.
Yeah, I have to wear the cup. It helps. You can see everything, even though I'm invisible. But we appreciate you.
Yeah,
but
no problem.
You started doing stand-up when?
So I started doing stand-up in November of 2022. I mean, I'm 32 years old. I was like 30 at the time, I think, doing it. And I've always wanted to do stand-up. Like, I remember just as like a teenager in high school, like, I would have Comedy Central on just constantly. And I loved watching the Comedy Central presents of just like these 30-minute sets of, it was probably 25 minutes with commercials of these like up and coming comedians. And I just sit there and laugh my ass off. And I would try and write jokes myself, but I never perform them because, I have like traditional Middle Eastern parents, and they were just like, no, you need to get like a solid job, like nothing in entertainment, nothing in like the creative fields. You know, it's like lawyer, doctor, engineer, and you know, don't pursue your dreams kind of thing. Like I said my dream was to do stand-up comedy as like a kid growing up, right?
Wow.
Which is crazy because now that's not my dream as an adult. This is just a hobby for me. Like I tell people all the time, they're like, "Oh, do you want to like go professional with this? You could do it." Yeah, that's what everyone says.
You definitely could.
And I'm like, "No, I want a boring government job that can just pay for my like, you know, I want a family, I want kids, I want all the like the traditional stuff."
Yeah.
But it's just so different from where I was when I was a kid. And I just did like that. You know, I went to college, I got a degree, I got a job, I went back and got a master's degree, I got a government job. And, you know, I had gotten out of a relationship, like a long-term relationship. And I was like, I need an adult hobby. Like, I can't just like go to work, go to the gym, eat dinner, go like, you know, play video games for like an hour and then go to sleep. You know, that was like my life for a long time after the breakup. And I was like, I need to do something fun. And I was like, you know, I'm going to try. I want to do stand up. Like I have a whole notepad on my phone of just jokes, and I just asked around, and it was a girl at my work at the time who was like, "Oh, my boyfriend runs an open mic on Tuesdays in Riverside. You should totally go out." And so this is George Frito and the buddy system and stuff. And so I went out on a Tuesday, and I didn't know it was a riff type of thing where you have to pull topics. And I was like, "Oh, well, I just have material. Can I try?" And they're like, "You can do what you want, man." Like, you know, so I did it. And I was like, "Well, I'm looking for other mics in the area." And they're like, "Oh, you know, Christopher Keith Tyler, he runs a few mics in Murrieta and Temecula area. Like, you should check those out." And came out one day and just, so, yeah, everyone's like, "Oh, how long have you been doing stand up for?" I'm like, "Oh, like 2 weeks." And people are like, "Oh my gosh, wow, you're so comfortable up there." I'm like, "Well, I just, you know, I'm a hater. Like, I don't think, like, who are you to judge me in the crowd? Like, you're not funny. I'm not funny." Like, so that's been my journey. Yeah. So again, it's the same thing. I want a normal, just, you know, government job to pay for my like
it's
life.
It's good for material too.
It is, because they're so boring. They are just like, they're like, "Oh, you should do jokes about like government jobs and stuff." I'm like, what am I going to talk about? That you're all like psycho killers? Like, you're all just like egomaniacs in disguise and stuff. And I don't know. It's,
you could talk about your, you know, your chair, how it goes up and how it goes down and how it goes up and how it goes down.
That's literally the topics that they're like, "Oh, you should put that." Because I remember I had one of my bosses we were at a conference in Baltimore one time, and everyone was like, "Oh, you know, it's 10 o'clock, time to go to sleep." And I'm like, "No, we're done for the conference is over. We don't have anything to do. We're in Baltimore. Like, you know, let's go out, let's do something." And I looked up an open mic, and, you know, a few of my coworkers who were on my level were like, "Yeah, we're going to go with you." And then one of the bosses was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go with you too." And I just did my material, and I was like, "Oh, so what do you think? You know, first open mic?" And they're like, "That was interesting." Like, and I was like,
they
okay,
kind of knew you a little bit more.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm a little not raunchy on stage, but it's just like I like to push the envelope a little bit. I'm not like, you know, I'm not an Ari Shafir who's not that funny anyways, but
well, that's a different, it's a different genre than you. Yeah.
So that's kind of my story in comedy, is like, started writing when I was 16, never performed because I just did my life and, you know, did what I was supposed to do. And then I just was like, I want to do this as an adult hobby and meet people. And I've met some amazing people like yourselves and other comics, and it's been fun. It's been really fun.
I think you should stick with it. Like, you should. You're a natural.
I mean, you never know. I mean, you have what you want, right? You have your job, you have exactly what you wanted, and you have your hobby now, and who knows?
Why can't it be a professional hobby?
It's just, here's the thing, is like, okay, because I used to do video game live streaming as well too, you know, like Twitch and YouTube and all that stuff. And back when I wanted to do it, I was in high school, and nobody had the equipment to do it, right? Like, computers just weren't there yet, and you had to record off of your Xbox and like record it, and it was just a long process, right? I didn't have the funds to pay for the equipment, but I was like, if I had it, this is how I would have done it. You know, it's like the O.J. Simpson book. Like, I didn't do it, but you never heard of that? O.J. Simpson wrote.
I've heard that reference before. No.
Yeah, he wrote a book, and he was a hypothetical. that of how he would have done it.
Fucking kidding me?
It's so funny. So there was a court case too.
I gotta buy that.
I think like Nicole Brown's the woman that he allegedly killed, right? Her family sued for the rights to that book because they're like, come on, they won. And so the title of the book now is I did it, but in tiny font in the top, it says if. Because that's like they legally have to put it. So if you see the book, it's like if in tiny font, I did it by O.J. Simpson.
It is a comedian.
Yeah,
You know,
it's fantastic.
you know he has prostate cancer now.
Oof.
No, I didn't know that.
Speedy recovery. I hope it's all right.
I just read that today.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
Shit.
Speaking of OJ.
Yeah.
Damn.
How did we get on
Simpson.
OJ again?
I don't
Oh.
No,
know.
because the book.
Oh
Streaming.
yeah. So with the streaming,
reference.
yes,
Right.
yeah. With the so then I finally got a job after college, and I was like, okay, I want to do the live stream. So I bought a better computer than I had. I bought like the capture card, but at that point the market had been so oversaturated. There was like hundreds of thousands of people just like putting their stuff on there, and I was like, what's going to set you apart at this point? So with comedy, I feel like it's the same thing. It's like everyone and their mother wants to do comedy. Everyone and their mother has a reel of their like, crowd work or whatever. And that's not a deterrent for me. I mean, the cream rises to the top, but it's just like, come on, man. The chance of me doing it and making it big. I mean, it's just like everyone else's, but everyone else's is very tough as well too.
Right, but you're a very good speaker, and like you're very like it's.
Yeah,
precise.
you're right. The cream rises to the top. You're probably the cream.
Yeah,
You guys are so nice. Thank you.
But we've seen a lot, like, and been around the scene for a while, and like you like come in right out the gates, like you're very crafty, and just you have a stand like a
presence.
a nice presence,
thank you.
and
I appreciate that.
it's nice to see like a nice good dude who. Like, and you're very humble, and like you want to do it for fun, but it's like when the world's telling you, hey, you should do more.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you're like,
The-
well, I don't really, I want to do, but
Well,
it's like
that's
the
the
world's
thing,
telling
man.
you, like, take my money.
Yeah.
I will follow you. Yeah,
That's
I'm
so
a
true,
fan.
because you're not the only one. Like, I'm not trying to like pat myself on the back, but like I
Mm-hmm.
get that all the time. It's like, you should try that. Like, go to LA, do open mics out there, or whatever. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
this sign from the universe. But it's like in life, it's always been there. Whenever there's been a sign in the universe, I go in the opposite direction. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, I always say, like, every time there's a coin flip in the world, like I
Mm-hmm.
always pick the wrong side of the coin. I think there's a Futurama episode about it. I don't know if you all.
That's interesting.
It's like it's about alternate dimensions or whatever, and it's like they meet their alternate dimension selves, and they're like, oh well, what's the difference with this dimension? Like, do we have mutations, powers? And like, no, just all coin flips are the opposite of what they would have been in the other one.
Oh,
And
no matter what.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, like, why'd you dye your hair black? It's like, well, I decided if I was going to go from purple or black, and it was a coin flip. Or like, why did you change Bender the robot? It's like, why did you become gold instead of silver? It's like, well, I put it on a coin flip. So,
okay.
and so in my life, I feel like I'm in the dimension where I just got every coin flip wrong, and I'm sure there's a version of me out there that's just like living life perfect.
I do feel that, because I remember having a very, very fucking long period of my life where like everything I did just didn't work out. Nothing I did ever worked out. It was absolutely obnoxious. But I think I mean, I don't know. Everyone's different, but I think it's something you practice and you get into like a state of mind, and then when you're in a specific state of mind, you kind of have a little more control, and then you can kind of like matrix manipulate. It's very crazy. I've had these moments, especially I have these last 2 days when we were hanging out with Katie and my sister Katie, and like it was so weird. I felt kind of clairvoyant and very like having the horse by the balls kind of thing. Like I just had control. It was very interesting mindset where like, I know what she's going to say and she says it. And you know what I mean? It's a crazy state of mind, but I think it's doable. I mean, but who knows? Who knows? Just a thought.
Are you sure you weren't having a stroke like at the time?
I mean,
kidding.
I've been struggling.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody say I had the horse by the balls.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
That's a lot of
You can
balls
take
to
it.
wrangle, too. That's a lot of balls to
I
wrangle.
know.
Good
it's
job.
like, thank
You
you.
had total control in that
Yeah.
Yeah,
situation.
she grabs two balls and both of her eyes go white. She's just like, oh.
That's funny because
You
you
can tell the
never really
future.
hear about women like who are like really interested in big balls, you know? Like just women like, oh, there's the stereotype about like, oh, I like a guy with a big penis, whatever. And that's like supposedly rooted in our psychology of just like, that's a trophy that I can have is, some guy with a big, like you never hear about girls who like big balls,
Yeah.
Where's that, Mark? I want to meet
I really
that
don't
girl.
care. That's cool if you have big balls. Great, good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, on a female personal level, I don't give a shit. I mean, if you look great in a pair of pants, that's a different story.
Ladies, if you're looking for a man with disappointing balls, you know where to look.
You remind me of a little bit of myself with the like you wanted to do stand up at an early age, and then you're doing it later. I originally wanted to be in advertising. Like that was my whole thing in high school. I wanted to be in advertising, but my parents were like, we don't have the funds for you to go to college, so you're going to have to figure. And so I became a massage therapist and went that route. But then like people started saying like, oh, you tell great stories. And some people were like, do you do stand up? And I'm like, I've never even thought of doing that. And then I didn't find out about stand up until like 2099, 2000.
Oh, wow.
And then I didn't start till I was 27. But now it's come full circle where now I love making ads for the comedy shows.
Oh,
the
you do a
Yeah.
really
reels,
good
and, like,
job
I
on
love
those too. I love
making-
those little bumpers that you do for either the open mics or the
Yeah.
competitions or comedy fest coming
He's
up.
getting really, really good at making
Fun.
just short clips, short videos. Yeah,
I think that's
definitely.
I'm like, oh, this is what I've always
Yeah.
wanted to do.
I always the most interesting, I think, advertising practice or marketing practice that you do that I've seen is, and I haven't seen a lot of people do this, is on the Comedy Entertainment Instagram page. The first picture of each one of them like makes a jigsaw puzzle for like a larger message,
Oh, the grid art.
Yeah, the grid art, exactly. I haven't seen that before because then I'll see your posts on there and it'll just be like KA and I'm like, okay, what's this? And then you scroll through and it's the pictures for the open mic or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you like click on the profile and it's like Comedy Fest coming up, in April.
Yeah, I saw that on Kenny, the bartender at Solaris. He his page, he puts his art in grid format, and I was like, how? And I just was like, how did he do that? That's so cool. I love the like large images. It's very eye catching.
Yeah.
And so I looked into it and I figured out like how to do it. And that if you scroll down our page, the first one I did was the hardest one. It was see through, it's transparent, but you can see a KAWmedy Krow on overlaying all the images. And I was like, okay, that's too difficult, and like no one notices. And then I started doing the regular ones, but I love doing it. It's fun, and it's a nice little twist. Last episode, I flipped out about how people they do their reels mixed with their photo, and it's like with my OCD, there's like photos, reels, and tags. Separate them, but everyone's got it all mixed up. So yeah, it's making me a dictator. Like I don't want to go and tell everybody you're not allowed to do that. Yeah, so
Make it
I mean,
fix
it is.
mine.
It's an evolving thing. I mean, just like using social media to gain a platform. I mean, there's so many comedians who have just like built a following based on social media, posting reels and things like that. And like, hey, I mean, I say the same thing to them, even if they're funny or not funny, that I would say to like women who do OnlyFans. I'm like, good for you. That's awesome. Like if people are digesting because we're all fighting for eyeballs and ears. That's really what it is. And if you can win that fight and get, 100,000, 200,000 people to like follow your stuff, like, hey, that's awesome. I haven't figured out how to do it yet. And I just don't have the energy to try and waste on social media. I think
I
it's,
don't either.
it's
Well, it's always that one comment that usually will like deter somebody from doing it ever again. It's like that heckler. Everyone's so scared to get heckled at a show. And if I get heckled, I'm going to quit. And you're like, no, dude, like that's reality facing you. Like just take it. Like, and if it doesn't work out in your favor, you can try it again next time.
Well, it's
all
also
good.
just like the mind of a heckler is. I haven't been heckled yet. I think people try to, but I just make fun of them back so much that they just stop
But it's
talking.
not really a heckle anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, dude.
Well,
Let's have a
usually
conversation.
people heckle when they think they're better than you, and you're really good.
Oh,
so
well,
no one's gonna
that's true.
heckle the guy who's like sharp. So yeah,
And
I do want to. Sorry, I
No,
just
no,
want to say
please,
real
go.
quick, like, and I always think about it. I think it really helps. It's like Danny Elfman had an interview. If you guys don't know, I mean, really, Danny Elfman, just look him up. He had an interview, and him going from like Oingo Boingo to being a professional composer, which he didn't expect to go that direction. And you know, him coming from his background in music, self-taught completely, and him composing like these amazing pieces, and he gets the hate from, I mean, I don't know who, he didn't say who, but he gets that
criticism,
criticism and
heckles,
just for not being like, you know,
everybody else.
Classically trained and what have you. But he's like, he like embraces it. He's like, I love it, it just fuels me. Those aren't exact words, but
Interesting.
basically, like, yeah, he's just like, he's kind of like kind of cool and creepy about it, like, no, bring me more kind of thing. And I was like, dude, that's badass.
It's so funny because I've flipped on that same topic many times. So my favorite band is Franz Ferdinand. They're a Scottish indie pop band. They did that song "Take Me Out," and like, I'm like a closet hipster is what I call myself, because it's like I like things that people don't generally like. So when I was in high school and I was picking a favorite, because you got to pick a favorite band, I heard their music and I was like, no one else around me likes this music. So I'm like, I'm going to dive head
You're a
in.
rebel.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh. And then, so I started like looking up the band and stuff. And it's like, I just read one forum that was like, yeah, they're not classically trained musicians. I was like, oh my God, look at these guys. They're just natural talents. Like, they're amazing. And then it just turns out later, like, yeah, they were classically trained, at an art school in Glasgow in Scotland. And it's just like, okay, well, I guess I do love classically trained. I want people to go buy the book. I want people to be like classically trained. So I completely flipped once I found out that they were classically trained musicians, and they're fantastic, and you should give them a listen.
Right on.
Yeah.
Franz Ferdinand.
Franz Ferdinand, named after the Archduke who, was killed and started World War One.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
History music.
Kind of. I mean, so I have a long history with them. Like, I've met them in person. They dedicated a song to me at a concert
wow.
before. Like,
Whoa.
I'm a hardcore fan of theirs.
Damn.
But their whole
listen
thing
to it.
was like, they're from Europe, and they're like, okay, we want a name that people in Europe will understand. Oh, how about the biggest war that they had in Europe? Franz Ferdinand. Everyone in Europe knows that that's what started World War One. So
Wow.
Shit.
That's awesome.
I feel really
Yeah.
retarded. Sorry, but no, that's great.
That's super
love it.
cool. Let's enter our segment, KAWspiracies. Yeah, conspiracies. Put your tinfoil hat on. Yeah, you had mentioned about the multiverse earlier with the golden robot. What was his
Bender,
name?
yeah,
Bender,
Bender,
yeah,
Bender the
from
robot.
Futurama.
Mm-hmm.
Today's conspiracy, KAWspiracy, is focused on Mandela Effects and CERN, the Large Hadron Collider. A lot of people, including yourself, we were talking earlier before we started recording. What do you know about CERN, or the Large Hadron Collider, the LHC? Have you ever heard of that?
No. So you brought it up, and I thought it was like that underground seed bank that they have somewhere in Europe. Like, if all the world just gets wiped out from nuclear winter, they have every single seed just
I heard that was
stored.
in
I think that's in
Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great place to keep seeds, I
Yeah,
guess.
and keep it chilled.
Yeah, keep it cool.
I don't. I have this like weird feeling that it's not as cold as we think it is over there.
In Antarctica?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a different conspiracy. We can't talk about
That's
that.
actually very
next
Okay,
interesting.
episode.
Okay. I was just
Yeah.
saying. Okay.
Right. Okay. Damn it.
Either way, it's temperature controlled. Okay.
ruining everything.
All right. So the
I
Large
don't know
Hadron
much about
Collider, if a lot of people don't know, is the world's largest man-made machine structure where scientists. It's I think it's 11 or 17 miles in diameter, a big circle that's underground, and it has magnets and computers.
11 miles in diameter.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like from Temecula to Lake Elsinore, all the way to Hemet, all the way to the coast. Like, it's a huge circle.
That's
and
insane.
it slams protons together, electrons and protons, and they're trying to bang them together to create the God particle or a black hole. Who knows? But now the conspiracy is this causing the Mandela effects that people are experiencing? Such as everyone talks about the Bernstein Bears and the Bernstein Bears. I'm over that stuff. I don't care about logos.
But
I
it's
don't
real.
care.
But
It
that's
is real, but it's real. But those are like simple. That's the simple stuff. Have you ever seen 007's Moonraker with Jaws and his metal teeth?
Yeah.
Okay, my grandma and I were huge fans of that movie, and one of the apex scenes in that movie is Jaws. He's like 7 feet tall.
Right.
He's covered in rubble, and this like little Swedish-looking girl with pigtails and glasses and a big bust. That's what she was known for.
Those are her Swedish meatballs.
Yeah. Yeah. She goes up and she's helping him get up, and he stands up, and she's like in awe and she's scared, and he looks at her and he thinks she's beautiful, and he smiles, and she smiles back, and they fall in love because she has braces. Well, that's what I remember.
Cute.
I remember that. Everyone remembers that. Well, guess what? She doesn't have braces. That never happened.
Right, but so
why would he fall in love? Right, why would they fall in love? Right, when she
if
smiled.
they didn't have anything to relate to.
Sure. Okay, so I don't want to be a downer. I'm not a huge
You're
conspiracy.
logical.
Yeah, I was like, does not compute, like it. I just think it's just bad memory on people, because like I've seen examples of the Mandela effect of like, did you remember Pikachu with this and this? It kind of reminds me of like, have you heard those sounds that people are like, green laser or blue blazer, or like you hear that it's like the blue dress versus gold dress. Exactly. So it's like the same thing, but an audio version of it.
All right.
So my whole thing with the Mandela effect is it's just that.
Right. Memory.
It's just a memory
false
type.
Memories.
Yeah, a false type of memory thing.
Well, all right.
Okay.
Well, wait. So then there's a thing called the evidence to prove on this. It's called residual evidence.
Okay.
Residual evidence is where the initial thing was changed. She doesn't have braces anymore. But residual evidence is where people have like shirts, or they have like, they made a commercial where Jaws, the actor, goes to the grocery store, and he's using like an American Express or a MasterCard card, and he's at the checkout, and this is like back in like the 80s, and he uses his card, and the cashier is scared of him, and he looks at her, and he thinks she's pretty, and he smiles at her, and then she smiles back, and she has braces.
Right, but
so why would that be the punchline if that never existed in the movie?
I think it's because of something that Amy just said a few minutes ago. Is like, why would they have any reason to smile at each other? I'm sure the advertising person was thinking the same thing. Like, I saw the movie, but like, I can't just have the cute girl at the cashier just smile and him smile. Because in the movie, I imagine the filmmaker's intention was like, this like guy is 7 feet tall. He's got messed up teeth. He's a villain. And this girl was the one who treated him kindly. And that's like the power of love is what changed him to be a good person. That was his intention. But the advertiser later was like, oh, the braces is what really connects them. That's like a straightforward thing. But here's the thing that I think a lot of people, because the example you gave is perfect, because maybe you're remembering what you saw in the commercial, which became a bigger thing. And so you're like, well, why would they not put braces on the commercial girl if the real Bond girl?
I know, but I never saw that commercial till years later.
Interesting.
Right. When my grandma and I, we used to watch that scene, that movie, but that scene in particular was our favorite. And I was like, it was funny, and we laughed about it. And for it to be, when you see it for the first time with no braces, it's shocking.
Interesting.
You're like, what is this? And then I found out about residual evidence, and I saw that commercial, and I'm like, okay, the casting department, they hired that cashier because she had braces for a reason to match the girl from the movie. So when they fire up the CERN, the Large Hadron Collider, it changes that thing they want to change, but it doesn't change everything. For example, another classic example is Risky Business with Tom Cruise. In the scene where he slides out across the floor, he's wearing what? Do you remember?
I haven't watched that many movies.
All right.
I have foreign parents. They didn't, I wasn't even allowed to watch Titanic until I was like 13.
This might help your memory.
Well, there was a scene.
Yeah, the scene was he's in white socks, underwear, and
dun 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 dun.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
What do you remember?
He's in socks and his underwear and that like the old type of rock and roll.
What
song
else is he
whatever.
wearing?
He's wearing a pink shirt.
Pink shirt. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
I remember a white shirt.
Sunglasses.
Yes, sunglasses.
Oh, interesting. So he's in between of the residual. So what I remember is because it's on the movie poster too. He has the black Ray-Ban sunglasses, a white collar shirt, underwear, and socks, and he slides out. Now, no sunglasses.
Okay.
Pink shirt, but like millions and millions of people around the world are all reenacting that scene.
I mean,
with
Alf
sunglasses. Yeah, even
reenacted it.
Alf.
Even Alf.
Right,
reenacted it
but
with
that's
a white
the whole
shirt.
thing is people have done parodies of. I think
Right.
what is causing this distortion effect is parody, because
Right.
everything that you have referenced has a parody version of it where they messed it up or they had to change it for maybe fear of copyright or fear of like, because parody's fine. You can parody something under free use. But if you mimic something completely, then you could get sued for copyright or
Makes
whatever.
sense.
So
That's only if you're getting paid for it.
sure, but like Alf, for
so
example,
Alf,
doing
right,
it,
they
like
have to do it a little different.
And so it's a subtle
I mean,
like
he is an alien.
yeah, that's true.
That's pretty different.
But it's like a
I
subtle
mean,
hat
wait
nod
a
of just
minute.
like, oh, you know what we're talking about,
Right.
but we're in trouble for it. It's kind of like how they call, like in every movie they can't call it McDonald's, but they have like so they call it like McDowell's or
McDowell's.
like like in Coming to America, I forgot what they
Yeah,
call
McDowell's.
McDowell's, yeah, exactly. Or like Whack Arnold's on Chappelle's show or something like that.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. So I think it's just like it's like when you photocopy a photocopy, it just like slowly distorts over
Yeah.
time.
No, that makes sense.
So
too.
I mean, it's a cool theory, but it's just like, why would it only change our perception of media?
All right.
Like, do you have examples of something that's non-media related?
Yes.
Non-media.
Okay. So, Sally, what's her name?
Sally
Field
Field?
or Fields?
I
What's
thought
her
it was
name?
Fields.
That's what I thought
Sally
too. I think
Fields.
it's Sally Field now, but I think Sally Field. Her famous line is the thing that when she was accepting an award and she was like, "You love me," like, do you remember?
You love me. You really love me, or
Right.
something, right? Yeah.
That's not what she said.
Yeah.
It's now you. I think it's like you like me. You
like
really like me or something. It's just
It's you like instead of you love, but
Oh.
I think even
it's a little different, even
Jim
more different.
Carrey when he did The Mask, he said "Oh, you-"
Residual evidence, right?
But yeah, I mean, I always remembered it. Yeah, did I? Now I'm questioning everything. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
No, what did I remember? I remember you love me. You really love me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I remember love.
But I don't remember that. So like I just again I'm hearing it from the parody version of
Right.
something.
Yeah.
And it's like
Okay.
it's kind of like that. I'm ready for my close up, Mr. DeVille. And it's like, okay, I only know that from references from like Tiny Toons Adventures. And when I go back and watch like source material of it, because I'm an
Yeah.
adult now, because all of that stuff, like I'm a big cartoon nerd, all of that is like little hat tips to the parents of like, you know what we're
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
here. But I go back and watch the real thing, and it's just like a little parody. It's like, I'm ready for my close up Mr. DeMille or something like that
Right.
instead of DeVille. And I'm like, oh, okay, so the real guy is this. And
Well, the reason why I bring up
understand.
Sally Field or whatever is her brother just happens to work at the Large Hadron Collider, and there's a photo of her there with a hard hat on, hanging out with her brother while they're doing experiments. So there's that as well. And then at the end of their documentary about Large Hadron Collider, during the post credits, when they usually show like a fun reel going on and everyone's dancing to the happy song, I'm so happy, happy, you know that I'm so happy song. I forget who's singing.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
In the Pharrell song?
don't
Yeah,
know
that's
that.
it.
'Cause
Okay,
I'm
right,
happy.
right. So they're all the
Yeah.
workers at CERN are dancing to that song. It's really cheesy.
Okay.
But at one point, they cut to an office room, and there's an older gentleman. He's got white hair, and he's like dancing too, and he's flipping cards, and it says 007 Moonraker, and then it says like they're in on it.
Yeah.
Why would you put that in? Like, how would you?
I mean, they probably know that
Right.
that
Yeah, if you work
this is a
there,
thing.
yeah, you probably know like the things about your work and conspiracy theories and stuff.
Right.
And so
yeah, they follow it.
it's kind of like all the other conspiracies that you read about, like white supremacists back in the day. Everyone thought the OK symbol meant like, because the 3 makes like a W and the circle part makes a P, so people thought like OK was what meant white power.
Oh.
Right.
And so like these little
Right.
shithead like conservatives, you know, would go to like Trump rallies and stuff, and they would just do this, and people are like, aha, like, see, they are like doing the saying
Right,
white,
white power,
but it's like,
yeah.
no, they're just doing it to make fun of, like, they're feeding into their delusions and stuff. And it's kind of like, it just goes full circle.
It's like
Just reality
like,
is
it's
like
just a-
so fucked up, and because we're making it all fucked up, right? Like we're doing this.
I think it's just
all
a-
the
yeah.
troll, these damn trolls, these internet trolls that
Yeah.
live among us.
See, we
that
were talking about-
haunt us in the comments section.
And we were talking about lol cows. This goes full circle
That's
back
right.
to it. So
There you
like,
go.
you know, I was saying, you know, because you were saying like, I'm working on it, and like, I'm not doing an impression of you. I'm doing an impression of this lol cow called Chris Chan.
yeah,
And just to like, I mean,
Uh-huh.
I don't want to, folks, dive. There's like an online thing on YouTube you can watch called just like Down the Rabbit Hole, and it gives you a 40-minute explanation of Chris Chan's life. But basically, it's this guy who in high school he started a comic book where he combined Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu,
Uh-huh.
and he called it Sonichu. And he posted it on the internet because his parents were like super supportive. He has like what he calls himself high functioning autistic,
yeah,
and his parents were like supportive of his art or whatever. It looks like an elementary school or middle schooler had drawn it, you know.
Right.
And so he put it on the internet, and you know, people were like, "Oh, this is great, like good job," but like sarcastically. But on the internet, that didn't really relate. So he's like, so "Look, I have fans." He's from like Virginia or something. And so he kept producing more and more of these things, and people on 4chan and like all these hate, you know, websites found him, and they were just like feeding his ego of just like, I'm a good artist and people like my work, and they would just mess with him like they pretended to be like the president of Nintendo, and they wanted to create a video game, and it's like, well, I need to raise $1,000 to go to Japan to meet, you know, Shigeru Miyamoto. And it's just like, it got to the point where he just started believing everything. And even his family and friends were like, no, this is not the president of Nintendo. He's not reaching out. He doesn't speak English. Like,
Right.
you know, so he just he couldn't figure out how to combat the trolls.
right.
That's it.
Wait, did he die?
No.
Okay.
So without getting way too into the ending of this saga is still going on right now. Like, people still follow him. Basically, he became trans, and so he's a woman now. He got arrested for some very bad things that I don't even want to say on the podcast. And he just got out of jail. She got out of jail. And yeah, people are just still messing with this person online right now. And they
Wow.
they cannot just get off the internet. Like, just please, Chris Chan, get off the internet. I'm begging, as someone who's followed your story for many years, get off the internet.
Yeah.
Aw.
But then you read, no, don't awe this person. They've done some really messed up things, and they hide behind the veil of, I have autism, so I can, you know, do all of these bad things and stuff.
Right.
I mean, yeah, there's hundreds of lol cows on there online, and these trolls are just looking for their next victim. And so
yeah.
don't be a lol.
scammers, spammers, trolls.
Yes.
They're out there.
Yeah.
Road ragers. I think they're all
You
the
just have to
same
ignore
people.
them.
Yeah, they're hecklers, road ragers, spammers, scammers,
Yeah.
and negative commenters. There's all these people out there. What's wrong with you? Anyways, that's we're gonna wrap it up there. I think that's a good way to. That was. Thank you for
No
everything.
problem. Thanks for
Yeah,
having us
very
on.
logical.
Having me on.
You keep my mental illness just right there at the cusp. Like talking to you is wonderful.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate
it. Where can the viewers and listeners catch you?
If you're interested, you can always follow me on Instagram at Shadi Matar Comedy. So ShadiMatar Comedy. And I post where I'm going to be performing. You can always see me at the Monday open mic at Slayer's Beer and Brewing. And I'll post anywhere else that I'm on.
All right.
On Instagram.
Yeah. And then, wait, you're game streaming. What about that?
I don't really do it that much anymore.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's fine. Yeah, no, it's just, I don't have the patience for video games anymore. Like, I'll play an hour and then I'm like, all right, I need to do something. I need to be productive. I need to, like, work on something else.
Adulting.
Yeah, like, I need to be an adult, you know? I just feel guilty. It's just a weird guilt.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, and then Amy, anything you want to share or mention or throw out there to the listeners?
Nothing new. You can find me at the typical Instagram under Shades of Despair, or even comedy entertainment.
Yeah. And not so funny.
KNOT.
KNOT.
Yeah.
Not so knots on your back.
You can also find me. Just go from there. I'm having a day.
Yeah, and then you can follow me. A lot of my work has been focused on comedy entertainment on Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe, hit that like bell or notification bell to know when these episodes go up. And little reels. I'm going to be making a bunch of clips. And Shadi would just want to, again, thank you for all your support. Shadi's been helping me with game streaming. This setup and everything has been all thanks to Shadi, and we appreciate you so much. And do not stop being. You are so funny.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I would pay for you to continue your hobby. Take my money. Yeah, you're one of the good ones. Follow Shadi, all right?
Good people.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, we'll see you next time on the next episode of KAWmedy Krow Podcast. Thank you. Bye.